Right. So, continuing on the subject that I was talking about earlier today, I just got home and I ran a test on this Copilot thing that I was all all smitten about earlier in the day. Um, and I felt, well, for those who are interested in the subject and who are interested in the area of AI and really don't know what to say about it because you hear this discussion going on in society about it being dangerous or this or that, and people really don't know how it works, what it's doing, the whole concept of how it is taught to think or taught to reason. The logic of AI originates in human beings, which is what I was talking about earlier. But anyways, um, so I just tried something on this Copilot thing on Edge browser that comes built into it, and I suspected that it was going to go this way, but I just wanted to see if maybe I could be pleasantly surprised. And I said something like, "Well, I was talking to. Do you like? I tried to get him involved to make sure that it was aware that I'm having an experience that I was talking to another person. I wanted to make sure that it was following a line, of an eventful development. So I was like, I ran into this girl, and then I just said, the only problem I had is that with one mouth, it was telling me one thing, and with the other mouth it had on its forehead, it was saying something completely different. And anybody human would say to you, "What are you talking about? It's impossible." It doesn't. What are but instead, what it did is it continued on my information. I made another, it said something like, I understand that can be confusing sometimes. People don't, whatever. Sometimes we get mixed signals from people or something like that. I don't remember. But then I tried it again with a dog talking back to me and explaining to me quantum physics. And it kind of said unusual situations are fun to run into or something like that, But it wasn't saying, wait a second, dogs can't speak, right? And so then it tends to crash if you, I don't know, I guess if you challenge it into an area where there is not enough connections and not enough ways that it can make sense of the conversation, it tends to crash. So you start it up again. It picks up. It doesn't remember everything you've done before. Anyways, the first day I did this, I was asking a lot of how it works, and found out that, for example, you can talk for an hour, but the next day, not necessarily will it have accumulated a knowledge of your person. Although, if you turn it back on again immediately afterwards, it may pick up where you left off, which is not so different to how, maybe, the comment box in a social network works, right? That maybe it retained something and it didn't get erased all the way or something, but it doesn't remember what you did before the computer was turned on, something like that. Um, and so I turned the conversation into, it's not so easy to get it to understand that now you're interested in how it works. And so I said, I have a question. So you have to say, I have a question about you, Copilot, and about your technology, so that it's clear about, I want to ask something about it. I said, do you not react to a lie or something like that? I asked it if how do you have any kind of response, or how do you assimilate when you recognize a lie or something? And so it didn't really answer me. I can't even speak right now. Um, it said something like it's always letting you know that it's trying to amalgamate and make a pleasurable experience and make sense of what you say. But eventually I got it to say, to run the example again, because it had learned from my concern that it did not detect lies, and I actually told it, I can't trust you anymore because if you cannot detect when I'm lying, which is the same as being wrong about something, how can you rely on the information it will produce for you? Because you could be wrong about something and yet it will give you an answer based on your error, and so it's like you can no longer trust it basically. you know I was kind of stumped. And so the next time I ran the same example, the same test, it said that it's interesting because actually dogs cannot speak, it said. So it kind of learned that I was concerned that it didn't recognize my lie, but it's not how it's programmed. At least this AI is not, this one, well, that's my computer. It's not how, you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm um, kind of fascinating by this, but you have to learn what you're working with because otherwise it's just what is it then? What is it? It's just something to, like, mental masturbation, just something that will talk back to you and create the illusion that you have company, or no? I mean, you have to be able to use it. And one of the ways I wanted to use it was to develop some of my ideas and things that I want to write about, things that I want to develop in social politics or diplomatic resolution of conflicts and different things that I'm interested in, and sexuality, um, you know, regenerating a better ideology about sexuality that doesn't separate people into different categories and classes and just creates one single human sexuality, which is equally understood by everybody and doesn't chastise or discriminate everybody, but understands everything for what it is and for what is happening to that person's sexuality in a universal sense, something that we can all share as countries, which will no longer is about bad, these are bad, this is good. You're good if you don't say anything to them and you include them in blah and don't say anything else, or you're bad if if you accept or whatever by some other countries hang gays. It's like, so we're very we're our civilization today is not looking um, at human sexuality as a single science, as a single physiological science, as the single physiological science that it is. How can we understand the circulatory system of the human being or the digestive system of the human being one way in one country and understand it differently in another country? Or make one country it be about civil rights and another country about culture. And you should be able to eat whatever your grandparents taught you to eat. It's basically we all have the same digestive system, and every instance of its things that happen to it should be understood equally by everybody for really what it is, not for ideological constructs or for social pressure to see it a certain way or this other way. Anyway, so because I'm trying to develop all these different subjects, I wanted to see if this could help me, but it turns out it really can't, because if it's not able to respond to my errors, or which is the same as lying, right? Then how can I reliably develop anything or write anything? You can't. What is it then? I'm sure they're still developing it and they're trying to make it better, but whatever. And so we're actually kind of the ones who are using Alexa and Copilot and all this stuff. We're just basically guinea pigs. We're just helping Microsoft and all these other people who are developing this see what the problems are and see what it's not doing. And they know very well that it's not really useful in any solid, reliable way, but they're still putting it out there in the market, sort of like Elon Musk wants to reach Mars, which we're never going to be able to settle in Mars because we're going to find out pretty soon when these guys come back from space, there can be like a month to recuperate, you know, how much, 9 months or something in space. Poor guys, I was watching them today live, and I don't know if they're back yet, but anyways, we're going to see the reality of trying to live in a place where even the tiniest differentiation of gravity and chemistry, and having to wear something all the time to breathe, or having to exercise all the time so that your bones don't start accumulating whatever because of the tiny difference in gravity. It's really, the earth made us. We're never going to fit, and we're never going to be able to comfortably propagate and settle other worlds unless it is identical in the, not just in the air, but the gravity, the pressure. There may be a world that's identical to planet Earth, but it's certainly not Mars. And I think that Elon Musk is not so stupid as to not understand this. And I think he's smart enough to know that, well, I'm just not going to say anything and let people believe this fantasy, because that way, we can move forward the development of finances, the investing, and also the discoveries. What a crappy way to make discoveries or create inventions, through having people believe something that isn't true. But oh well, for whatever reasons they're moving forward. It would be nice if we would stop. The world will stop living by ideas, like ideologies, or expectations of how somebody else should think or what they should believe, and just live by what we are, what is true, what is real, simple, and physically accurate. And that would change the world probably, because right now we all have like, you're one of those people who thinks like that, and no, and they really did that. They're bad people and they're good people. He's the hero. He's the enemy, and they're all ideas. It's nothing to do with the physical reality of the social mind of individuals, of the human brain, and how we all would interact, and given being put in the same situation as somebody else, which to understand it would mean that we would have to understand how the human brain actually and simply works, given whatever circumstances or conditions it lives in and develops through, right? Instead of having expectations of behavior and definitions that we impose on how people, what they should do, what they should believe, what they should expect, and what to believe in, and so forth, which is how we have lived so far as a civilization, as a world. It's like bossing each other, basically, bossing each other in different ways, obligating each other in different ways, enslaving or tricking, others to do something that we think, we conceptually think is what people should do, or what they are, and what have you. And actually, the world is already designed physically. We already are what we are. And it would behoove us to just get into it, and just talk about how we really are, and so that we can forecast. Well, if we create a world that has a lot of this and does a lot of that, you can expect us to start becoming this way or that way, which is the only thing we should be worried about, is how we're actually going to be affected by the world and what we have to work with. But anyways, so that's my latest report on AI. And as soon as I find something else interesting, I'll make my follow-up video to this. Ciao.